Hi everyone, we are week 3, day 2. I hope everything has been going well this week so far for you. Today we are working on describing characters. Our paper looks like this. So go ahead and take the time to get your packet ready. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to and get flipped to this page because this is the page that we're going to be working on. The story that goes with this is this one, The Shoemaker and the Elves, and I'm actually going to be reading this one to you guys today. So if you want to get your packet ready to follow along, or you can follow along on the screen, that's fine too. But if you need to, go ahead and pause the video and go get your stuff ready. That's fine. I will, however, go ahead and begin our story. So we are reading The Shoemaker and the Elves. So it is retold by Brenda Parks and illustrated by Julia Patton. Remember, illustrated means there's illustrations, which means they are not real pictures. They are drawings, which means that the story is probably a fiction. It's not real. All right. Once upon a time, a shoemaker lived with his wife in a little village. Although the shoemaker worked hard, he could not earn enough money to make a living. One day he found that all he had left in the shop was enough leather to make one pair of shoes. That night, the shoemaker cut out the leather and set it on his workbench. Then he went to bed. The next morning, the shoemaker was amazed to find a perfect pair of shoes on his workbench. He called his wife. "Wife, wife, come quick and see. Look what someone made for me." The shoes were so beautiful that a customer paid extra for them. Now the shoemaker could buy enough leather to make 2 pairs of shoes. That night, the shoemaker cut out the leather and set it on his workbench. The next morning, there on his bench were 2 perfect pairs of shoes. Once again, the shoemaker sold the beautiful shoes quickly. That night, the shoemaker cut out enough leather to make 4 pairs of shoes. Just as before, he set it on his workbench, ready to make the shoes the next day. And just as before, he went to bed. So he's not actually making the shoes, he's leaving the materials out and someone is making them. Let's see if we find out who. The next morning, just as before, there on his bench were 4 pairs of perfect shoes. Once again, the shoemaker sold the beautiful shoes quickly. Day after day, the shoemaker woke to find wonderful shoes on his bench. Shoes for work, shoes for play, shoes to dance the night away. Day after day, more and more people came to buy the beautiful shoes. Lots of people coming to buy the shoes now. One night, the shoemaker said to his wife, "We must find out who was making the shoes." So after supper, they hid in a cupboard in the back of the store and watched. Just as the clock struck 12, 2 tiny elves danced into the room. They hopped up on the bench and began to work. As they worked, they sang, "We sleep by day, at night we sew. In and out our needles go. Stitch, stitch, stitching small and neat. Lovely shoes for lucky feet." So here they are making their shoes. As daybreak came, the elves danced out the window and disappeared. "How can we ever thank them?" wondered the shoemaker. "We have a lot of money because of them." "Let's make them some new clothes," said his wife. The shoemaker and his wife bought the smoothest silks and softest satins. They made the elves new suits. On New Year's Eve, they put 2 little sets of clothes on the bench. Then they hid in the cupboard and watched. What do you think? Do you think the elves are going to be happy that they have new clothes? Let's see. When the little elves saw the new clothes, they danced and laughed and clapped their hands. They put on the clothes and twirled around. Then they danced out the window and were gone forever. The shoemaker and his wife were never poor again, but they never forgot the elves that helped them. Every New Year's Eve, they put out a new set of clothes for the elves. So the elves like the clothes. And every New Year's Day, the clothes are gone. Here's the elves wearing their new clothes and the shoemaker and his wife watching in the background. So that is our story for today. I hope you guys liked that story. So we are going to go ahead and begin working on our describing characters. Now, when we describe characters, we just want to think about, what did the story tell us about this character? Were they excited? Were they sad? How did we know that they were excited and sad? So we need to think of how we can describe these characters. So the character that we're going to work on today is the shoemaker. Okay, so I am going to write, I'll show you really fast. I'm going to write the shoemaker right here. So this is so we know which character in the story we're talking about, because there are lots of different characters. So we have the shoemaker. Go ahead and pause your video and write this down. This is the character that we are going to be talking about. So in this first box right here, it says the character is, and we need to think of an emotion the character is feeling. How do we think the shoemaker felt first in our story? At first, he was kind of excited, right? He was excited because someone had made shoes for him. So in this box, we're going to write excited. He is excited. Now it says excited because or excited when. And then we're going to write, how do we know he's excited? How do we know? When he first gets his first pair of shoes made that he finds on his workbench, how did we know that he was excited? What are some things that he said? Maybe to his wife? In our story right here, it says the next morning the shoemaker was amazed to find a perfect pair of shoes on his workbench. Wife, wife, come quick and see. Look what someone made for me. So right here, I'm going to get my highlighter and highlight it so you guys can see it. He's saying, wife, wife. And we know he's excited because he's using exclamation marks. Look what someone made for me. So would you be saying, wife, wife, look what someone made for me, if you weren't excited? What if you were sad? Would you be saying it like that? I don't think so. So we are going to go ahead and write, because we know he is excited because, so we're going to circle that word because. He says, now remember, when we're using dialogue, when we're saying that someone said something, we have to use our quotation marks. He says, wife, exclamation mark, wife, exclamation mark, come quick and see, come quick, exclamation mark, and see. Quotation marks, because that is the end of what they said. So you can go ahead and write this down. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Don't forget your quotation marks. And then we are also going to write, we know that he's excited because people use this type of language when they're excited, right? So we know people say this when they are excited. We know people say this when they are excited. And I went a little bit further on my video or on my lines, so go ahead and just go on the bottom, that's fine. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to finish writing. We are going to go and move on to another feeling that the character that describes our character. What else does he feel? So he's excited because someone made his shoes, right? Oh, before we move on, we need to draw a picture to show excitement. When we show excitement, does our face look like this? Does our face look like that when we're excited? No. Does our face look like this? No. What about like this? Yes. So I'm going to make a face that looks like this. I'm going to draw a little circle for my head. So go ahead and draw a circle for your head. I'm going to add 2 eyes because we all have 2 eyes. Here's my 2 eyes. And then I'm going to draw a really, really big mouth that's open because that's what we look like when we're excited. It looks like this, not like this. So here is my big open mouth that shows how excited I am. All right, once you guys have finished your picture, we are going to move on and talk about the next feeling. What does he feel after he felt excitement? Someone made these awesome shoes. Now what is he feeling? Well, he wants to find out who's making the shoes, right? So that would be curious. He is curious. So we're going to write curious right here. Curious. The shoemaker is curious because, why is he curious? Go ahead and circle that word, because. The shoemaker is curious because, why is he curious? What does he want to know? Well, he wants to know who's making the shoes, right? So he's curious because he wants to find out who is making the shoes. So we're going to write, he wants to know who is making the shoes. Here we go. He wants to know who is making the shoes. Go ahead and pause the video so you can finish writing this. But how should I draw this picture? Well, when you're curious, you're kind of questioning something, right? You're like, who is doing this? So he has a question. So I'm going to draw a question mark, just like this. And he's thinking this question. So how do I show in a picture that someone's thinking? Sometimes we use like a little bubble, right? So we do 1, 2, 3 little circles. And then we're going to make a big bubble up here that shows this is what he's thinking. So he's thinking who? So you can go ahead and pause this to finish your picture or to finish your writing. That's fine. We are going to go ahead and move on to the next part. So first, he's excited because someone made these shoes. Then he's curious because he's like, dang, who made these shoes? Who's doing this work for me? What did he feel after he found out who it was? Was he mad at the elves? No. Was he sad because he wasn't the one making the shoes? No. I think he was kind of grateful, right? He was excited that they were making these shoes for him, and he was so thankful because it was allowing him to make money so he could buy more stuff to make more shoes. So his business was working. So he was very grateful to the elves. So we are going to write grateful right here in this corner. And we are going to tell why he was grateful. So the character is grateful because, so we're going to circle that word because again. The character is grateful because, so go ahead and pause the video to finish writing this. I am going to move on. So how does he show that he's grateful? to the elves? What does he do for the elves that shows that he's grateful? How can we describe our character? What does he do for his elves? He makes new clothes to thank them, right? So we're going to write, he makes the elves new clothes and when he makes them new clothes, he's doing it for them to say thank you for making these shoes for me. So he makes the elves new clothes to thank them. He makes the elves new clothes to thank them. And this is a K. I messed up on my K. Fix that. So you can go ahead and pause the video and finish writing this down. Now I am going to think about how do I draw a picture that shows that he's so thankful? There's lots of different ways that we can show that he's thankful, but because we only have a small little box, I'm gonna draw a heart, because a heart to me shows that you're very grateful and thankful that they did something for you and you appreciate it. So I went ahead and drew a heart. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to draw a heart. I hope this helps you guys. Think about other ways that we can describe our character, our shoemaker. What other words can we use to describe their character and how they were feeling and those types of emotions? What about the wife? How can we describe the shoemaker's wife? Think about from the story, what did we learn about the wife? How can we describe her feelings? Is she excited too? Is she curious too? So those are things for you guys to think about. I hope this helped you. Thank you so much for watching our video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.